Hi, Amos here, this time coming to you from the city of Los Angeles, where I have been visiting a number of manufacturers in the lead up to this year's first Canjam show. The first of those manufacturers was MrSpeakers, where I spoke to Dan Clark about these, the new MrSpeakers Ethers, which are the first of their 100% designed and made headphones. Now, Dan Clark was chatting to myself, Warren, and Frank, and had quite a bit to say about them, so check it out.
Okay.
So,
We want to see some iterations that we had?
Sure.
Yeah, this is stuff along the way. We have all sorts of bits and pieces, and this was like the very first prototype. One of the things that's kind of cool is the driver's black. So this was actually the very first functional prototype of Ether, and the project was codenamed Dreadnought. And we chose Dreadnought as a bit of a homage to Mike Moffat from Shit, who used to be with a company called Theta and built this really awesome multi-channel home theater amplifier. And I still use that to this day, actually, so it seemed like a fun product code name. We thought about naming the product Dreadnought, but then some people wisely suggested that's probably about the most impossible name you could pick for international people to figure out how to spell.
And that originally was going to be a closed version.
It was going to be closed, and we did this little
This is the one that we heard.
Fun thing with these little butterfly ears, you know, it's 3D printing, right? So we could just do fast prototyping and testing. So that was one version. And then we went through a bunch of different designs for the metal work and different ways to attach the pad rings, different materials. And we finally settled on that this. And this was basically the first really full functional prototype where we had everything in place, and this was what a few people heard at RMAF when we brought that out. And then this is what the finished product now looks like. We changed the name for the product to Ether instead of Dreadnought. Tried to make it. We had three goals when we started out with the project. We wanted to make it sound really good, we wanted it to be more comfortable than our existing products, and we wanted it to be pretty, just a nice looking headphone. And so we designed it ourselves and spent, basically started 2 years ago on this. We designed a bunch of different processes and systems that will let us manufacture this better than anything we've produced to date. In part because when we're doing everything in-house and we have full control over everything in the product now, right down to the screws are all custom designed. You have to do things differently, and we had to take our time to get it right to do that. So we've set up a new way of designing and manufacturing these drivers, which actually we're filing a patent on, that really has made them incredibly consistent and improved our productivity a lot on these. In the first batch that we built, 95% of the drivers came up on the first pass with no tuning, no modifications, and no repairs. So we were really happy, and they came out so closely that they effectively were all matched right out of the box, which shocked us. And they break in pretty well. The break-in on these is measurable. It also takes about 40 to 60 hours. So as part of our production process now, we'll be building in some burn-in time, and we're creating a burn-in fixture so we can run a number of them at one pass and burn in for 24 to 48 hours. We'll kind of see what makes sense as we go. So that's it. That's Ether.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, how about the cable? Do you want to do
We're
gonna have a bit of fun with the cable.
So this is our dumb cable, and I called it dumb just because I don't want to get all serious about cables, because that's something that people care about or they don't. But I have discovered in my time with headphones that cables seem to make a bigger difference for me with headphones than they ever did with speakers or as interconnects. And so I did spend some time working on this. We've gone through a number of iterations where we were working on the cable structure, the weight of the cable, the winding, whether to braid it or wind it. And this is a prototype of it. It's made with a shrink tube, so it's a little stiffer than it should be. But we settled on a 24 gauge Litz wire, and this is actually 24 gauges per conductor, so it's much heavier than your typical headphone cable. And that worked really well. It just seemed to have a nice synergy with this headphone. The headphone itself is a fairly low impedance headphone by today's standards. It's about 23 ohms. And so because of that, even though it's relatively efficient, it's also a current-friendly headphone. And so having a heavier gauge cable like this seemed to make sense for it.
Is the sensitivity, how sensitive is the driver?
About 95 to 96 dB per milliwatt. So it's about 6 dB more efficient than the alphas, which is nice. You can play it to a decent level on portable gear without having really powerful portable gear. It also is interesting because I've noticed that on a lot of tube gear, you can start to hear the noise floor of the equipment more. So you want to be looking for gear that has a quiet noise floor to it. Obviously, the less efficient the headphone, the less you're going to hear the background noise of the electronics. The more efficient, the more you will. So anyway, this is the dumb cable, and pricing on it's TBD. But we are going to do is, for the first 50 pre-orders that we get for Ether, we will be including a free dumb cable upgrade.
Wait, what does dumb stand for?
I'm so dumb, I don't even remember. What I liked was the acronym, but I'd actually have to look it up to tell you what it meant.
Gotcha.
And mostly I was poking fun at it because I just don't want to take, cables are...
They're cables.
You care about it or you don't. If you do care about it, I think you'll appreciate it. If you don't care about it, I didn't want to be sitting here hyping something that you just don't
One of
believe
the
in,
things
and I'm
when I
not going
did
to
the
try to
preview,
convince
it did
people.
make a difference. I listened to it with the Heimdall. I like the sound better with that headphone.
Yeah, I tell you what, cables
with
are
that
necessary. If
And,
you don't use them, you're not going to hear anything.
All right, you know what I'm saying? So,
That's right.
Absolutely critical in that regard.
You could get the music through the ether. Yeah, that's actually, here's our new headphone, Ether.
Exactly.
Experience the silence.
If you did that, if you had done that, that would have blown everyone away.
What do you mean you can't hear anything? You call yourself an audiophile?
People wanted a wireless headphone. We made one.
Nice. All right. This is Dan from MrSpeakers. Thank you.
Thanks.